No, thank you. Sleepy. Can you come back in an hour?
Need sleepy.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. We're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caligiero, and it's time for the Billy C. Morning Show. Glad you could join us. We're glad to be part of your morning. Special shout out to all of our viewers on Fight TV. And don't forget, you can get Fight TV and watch the show on your handheld. It's real easy. Just go to Fight. That's F-I-T-E, fight.tv. That's fight.tv/Billy C. Download the app today and enjoy our show as well as many other combat sports on Fight TV. So we're glad to be part of the Fight TV team. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria, an Italian restaurant located in beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. And don't forget, if you're heading south on I-95, it's 15 minutes out your way. It's a detour, 15 minutes. You can enjoy the food at Sal's. Trust me, it'll be a regular stop for you. And you know what you do? You eat all the things on your way down, and then you use the clean bathrooms at Sal's place because he's got clean, spotless and clean bathrooms. So, hey, 15 minutes out of your way, you go, you use the bathroom, and you enjoy some food. Maybe use the bathroom again. I don't know, man. But trust me, it's well worth the detour. Check out the website for the address, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. And today's show is also being brought to us in part by Fire Fan. It's a new fantasy game that's it's a different level, and it's for all sports. It's a great time to sign up, especially with the Super Bowl this weekend, and we can get you to sign up for free forever, and the best part is you get to win money. So what do you got to lose? Go to our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Fire Fan banner, which is on the left-hand side, and sign up today. Win some money, and throw me some. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux from Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. Man, you can get it right now if you go to BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. If you're looking to get a signed copy, just visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and go into the book club section. I want to thank, all of a sudden, I've got an infusion of UK viewers that have been buying my book. I got a bunch of them that were ordered over the last 5 or 6 days, I don't know. I lost track since I was traveling the other day, and have been shipping them out to the UK, which I'm totally thankful for. I hate the shipping costs, but I'm totally thankful. So I am very happy that we're getting this book abroad. So get yourself a copy. And hey, and by the way, if you want it signed, if you order it through the website, don't forget to, if you want it specifically signed, addressed to you or someone else, if you're buying the book as a gift, make sure you put it under the comments section. Otherwise, you're going to get a signed book, just signed. Anyway. Coming up in a little bit, today is Friday, normally fan-driven Friday, but because, and speaking of my book, because we were out for the last couple of days, I was doing they were filming a documentary that's going to feature Tom Molyneux and some other fighters that ended up in Ireland, even though Tom Molyneux was born here in the States and went to England and really captured most of the fame over in England. It was Ireland that is the home of Tom Molyneux's final resting place, and there's a documentary coming out about him and some other Irish legends like Dan Donnelly, and also something that's thrown under the carpet, the Irish slave trade of the early 1800s. So I was involved with a documentary. I want to thank everybody that was involved with that, including Des K. productions. I was glad to be part of that. And I'll keep you guys posted when that's available. It is supposed to be airing on Irish TV very soon, and then the documentary will be submitted with one of the festivals. So we're excited about that. But anyway, coming up, I want to talk about the fights that took place last night. Miguel Cotto, James Kirkland, canceled. It was announced yesterday that the fight was canceled due to an injury for James Kirkland, according to the reports. He broke his nose. And that goes to another cancellation that was took place between our last show and today, and that's Morrison. Trey Lippy Morrison was scheduled to fight on SuperBowl next Friday, and he got a gash in his eye and was not able to fight, okay? Here's my point. These injuries, the broken nose suffered by James Kirkland, the gash over the eye for Trey Lippy Morrison, listen, injuries happen in this sport. Injuries happen in any sport. But where I'm concerned with these specific injuries is they could have been prevented. Morrison trains with, trainer of the year and a guy who many regard as a great trainer in Freddie Roach. And Miguel Cotto with Rock Nation, and Miguel Cotto being a diva and all of that. His opponent James Kirkland, who was the one that got the injury allegedly, is training and has been around. My point is this: when you're training for a big fight, they have this invention, right? It's called friggin' headgear, and when you put the headgear on, you can't get a cut. And when you put your headgear on, especially if you have full facial headgear, you can't get your nose broken. My point is if you're training and preparing for a big fight, a real big fight, like both of these guys were, and face it, Trey Lippy Morrison was training for a big fight because he was going to be on SuperBowl and be, basically showcased. Why the hell would trainers, especially like Freddie Roach, let their fighters get in the ring without headgear on? I don't know. Joining me right now, I'm going to get his thought, because I know he's worn some headgear, and he's been cut a gazillion, trillion, mega million times. I don't know. Lots of zeros. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Sal, Rocky, Senecola. What's up, Sal?
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Not too bad, my man. Not too bad. Can these injuries be prevented, Sal?
To a degree, Bill. One of my fights when I was fighting on Aaron Pryor's undercard at the Sands, I was supposed to fight, what was his name, from Louisiana, and I got butted in the head with and I got a cut that opened up, and I had to pull out of that fight, and it was John Duplessis I was supposed to fight, and that fight was canceled.
Did you have headgear on?
I had a headgear on, but as I said, it was a cut on top of my head, and it was a bad one. It was nasty for a while. It took a couple stitches. That's the only fight I ever pulled out from a cut training. Now, I've also had nose trauma where I was cracked bones and this and that, and deviated septums and cracked cartilage and all this stuff. And I did purchase that metal nose guard headgear that's like a football helmet that has a big steel bar so your nose can't get hit, and I did spar with that, and it was like I felt like a rocket, like a robot, but that did protect my nose and healed my nose, and you can spar with that, and I often did when I had a nose injury that I was getting ready for a fight, and I did spar with that. You could have prevented that, yes. But do you think of these things that are going to happen when you're sparring and you're training for a big fight? The top of the headgears do not have any real padding. They're just straps and stuff, and so butt can occur there. Yes, the headgear does minimize a little bit of the potential cuts around the eyes, because of the way the padding is, and the cheeks because of the way the padding could be. Some of them have no cheeks, some of them have cheeks. I always fought with the cheek ones. And, so yes, you could prevent it to a degree, especially with the nose bar. headgear, because that thing's like a cage, man. You can't get through that if you want to.
My point, Trey Lippy Morrison, the gash over his eye. There's no way that if somebody's wearing, unless the headgear itself caused the gash. But if you saw the photos of it, it's typical of a gash from a glove. All right.
Yeah.
And so I mean, here you are training a week away from the fight, and you're not putting headgear on. As far as the Kirkland breaking his nose, okay, let's say he has headgear on without the full frontal protection, like you say, it does kind of look like a football helmet, and he breaks his nose. It's possible, but I think there was underlying reasons. Look, the fight is over 3 weeks away. James Kirkland, no disrespect to James, and he was working again with Ann Wolfe, and he was always a different fighter with Ann Wolfe. But no disrespect, Miguel Cotto, you telling me they can't find another suitable replacement in 3 weeks? Come on, there's guys that are
Call
ready
me,
to go.
I'll get in there.
And not to mention, it was a pay-per-view. See, this is what I see. It was a pay-per-view. They supposedly had all these great fights on, which they really weren't. I mean, Rigondeaux was going to be on that card, but I think the projections and the rate of ticket sales and all the formulas that get tabulated, calculated, blah, 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 said nobody gives a shit about this fight, people. Let's get back away. And that's what I think happened. I think, and I would like to see who the hell am I, but I would love to see some kind of report on Kirkland's nose, because he could very well be saying, hey, I broke my nose, and Team Cotto threw a check in the mail for him, so I don't know, but a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, so I don't want to stay on that, because I could stay on that all day. I just think that
I could too,
there's too many injuries.
I'm very particular about injuries.
Yeah, and there's too many. There's too many injuries that to me could be prevented. Hey, listen, a guy twists his knee, he falls down a set of stairs, something like that, maybe an injury not related to boxing. Sure, everything happens. But when these guys are getting these injuries in sparring, I mean, I know you're sparring, but are you having knockout, drag-out, killer fights in sparring a week before the fight like Trey Lippy Morrison? And, I mean, come on.
No, you're winding down. And let me tell you something, Bill. You said a big thing. You train hard, and you're, for all intents and purposes, you fight like you train like you fight. You do calm it down a week before the fight a little bit. And the thing is this, though, when you are going into the ring, seldom, and I'm going to say this from my standpoint, I'm sure you'll get a lot of fighters that may or may not agree with me. I don't think you could ever be 100% pain-free if you did the training necessary to go into the ring. I think you learn how to live and enter the ring being the best that you could be. But how many fights did I go into with sore knuckles, sore nose, a cut that healed up, that you think twice about, I got to protect that. Shin splints, stress fractures. I was coming off of sore legs. You go through and you say, hey, I'm the best I am right now. And I mean, I fought injured. Many times with aches, pains, bruises, sore hands, this and that. But the show goes on. You fight. You do the best you can.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the cut.
If it's a broken, within reason.
Broken nose. I mean, you can't fight with a broken nose. No. And even with the cut that Morrison sustained. I mean,
you can't.
But the point is maybe they could have been prevented. I don't know.
Yes.
But anyway, last night there was Thursday night fights out of Mississippi, Mississippi.
You spelled that correct.
Yeah, I did. Luis Collazo improved to 37 wins and 7 losses with 20 knockouts when he stopped a very tough Sammy Vasquez at 1 minute and 27 seconds of the 6th round. This was a great fight. Both fighters worked each other over. Actually, Collazo dropped Vasquez previously. The 5th round in this fight was a back and forth. Listen, if you missed this fight, go back and check it out, because very entertaining fight. And Collazo, once again, it's a tale of two Collazos. Sometimes this guy looks really good, and other times he just, like in his last fight against Keith Thurman, it just looked like he didn't want to fight anymore. And it was after his best round he stays on his stool. So I don't know what to expect, but it looks like Collazo earned himself at least to be entered into the conversation. As far as Sammy Vasquez, he drops to 21-2. Yordenis Ugas improved to 18-3 when he and Levon, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name because it's terrible, fought a really tough 10-round fight that ended up going to Ugas via a split decision. And then a fight that was pretty entertaining. Ryan Carl loses for the first time in his career. He drops to 13-1 when Eddie Ramirez, he was also undefeated going into this. He improved 16-0 when these guys were going back and forth. Ryan Carl took a lot of shots from Eddie Ramirez, and finally Carl's corner gave up after the ninth round, giving Ramirez a technical knockout victory. So very entertaining fight there. The other one wasn't that great. But anyway, that's what took place last night. A couple other things I want to cover real quickly. The fight that everybody's been waiting for, Sal. I mean, I know you and I have been talking about it, and we just can't wait to see the Shannon Briggs against Frezequendo fight. I mean, Frezequendo hasn't fought since, I think, 1975, and Shannon Briggs was born in 1905. So, I mean, you know, I know we're all at the end of our seats, and you know, we just can't wait for this fight. And it's, guess what? It's a WBA-based fight, so that doesn't shock anybody. But apparently nobody really wants to pay for it because no deal has been struck. So therefore, the WBA is making this go to purse bid. Will go to purse bid on February 13th, and this is a 50-50 split because of the fact that they're both fighting for a vacated ABCDEFG title. So, and speaking of purse bids, Yvonne Michelle, GYM, won the purse bid for the fight between Artur Beterbiev and Sullivan Barrera. Yvonne Michelle in main events bid against each other. Yvonne Michelle's group won with a $251,000 bid. Main events bid $181,000. You know, when you see a discrepancy between the two purse bids like that, it's hard to assume that one really wanted it. It's hard not to assume that one really wanted it and one really didn't, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you're looking at $251,000 versus $181,000. I mean, you know, $70,000 difference. I don't know. I've seen bigger discrepancies there. Just some other stuff real quick. A heavyweight fight that's got some significance was scheduled for March 17th. It's going to be taking place between Travis Kaufman, who's a once beaten heavyweight, 31 wins and a loss with 23 knockouts, taking on Amir Mansour, who's been in some tough fights. This is an older fighter who was in the can for a while, came out, busted onto the scene, and you know, his one loss was a knockout loss. The other one was a TKO loss. Remember when he bit through his tongue? And people were critical. They were critical. They were saying, "Oh, he should have continued." I'm like, "Bit through your tongue." Hey, the other day I bit my tongue while I was eating. I don't even know. I think a handful of grapes or something. And I was bleeding. I thought I was Gene Simmons' A Kiss, Sal. I was bleeding all over the place. And I'll tell you what, it hurt. You know, I was like, Jesus Christ, that hurts, you know. And you know, now I know how Gene Simmons felt, you know. But
Gene Simmons.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Anyway, this fight's scheduled for March 17th.
That's funny.
Yeah, but this one's scheduled for March 17th, so we'll see what happens with that one. Another fight I wanted to mention was a good one. You know, Garrett Wilson is this cruiserweight that's a pretty tough hombre, and you know, he's been in some great fights. I've seen him, you know, ringside, and you never can count him out. He's one of these guys where you don't look at his record. His record is 17 wins, 11 losses, and a draw, but he's way better than his record would suggest. Well, he's taking on a tough former interim champion in Yuri Kalinga on February 18th. So that fight's taking place in Casablanca. a place I would have always liked to have gone. But anyway, it's funny. The WBC was talking about Gary Russell fighting on the February 18th card, and they were adamant about it. As a matter of fact, it was announced in the press a few days ago that he was fighting on that card. And everybody was saying, oh, okay, well, I guess the WBC knows when he's fighting. Too bad the promoter and the rest of the people didn't know he was fighting on that card. And the WBC had to put out a corrected statement and saying that Gary Russell will be fighting Oscar Escandon on not February 18th, that the fight is actually taking place on March 11th. So pretty shocking that the WBC would make a mistake, don't you think, Sal?
Oh, yeah. They you can't make a mistake like that.
No, but they the way they act is they never make a mistake. That was my point.
No.
The
elitists they are.
Some other stuff real quick. The WBA has ordered a Jamie McDonnell and Librario Solis rematch. Team Solis asked for the review of the WBA. The Championships Committee did review the film and felt that a rematch was justified and has ordered the rematch for this to take place. So we'll keep you posted on that one. A side bit of news here. Lucas Brown is putting out a new book about himself. It's entitled a champion that never was, or whatever the title was. I don't know, but if you guys remember, Lucas Brown tested positive for performance enhancing drugs not once but twice, was stripped of his title. Blah blah blah. Says he doesn't know how it happened. Blah blah. I looked at this, Sal, and you remember when OJ put out the book "If I Did It," if I did it, I would have did this.
If I only had a brain.
And the thing is with Lucas Brown, it's like, well, if I took steroids, this is maybe what would have happened. So I'm curious to know how that book's going to go. Listen, I'm going to give and break down my Super Bowl picks here in a little bit, and I also got an update on LeBron James that I want to talk about. LeBron James and Charles Barkley's little feud. Yes. But before I do that,
little vegetable humor.
Yeah, and I got a bunch of emails that I want to get to. But Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko kicked off their press tour to promote their April 29th heavyweight championship boxing match, which I can't wait for. It's probably one of the biggest heavyweight fights that we have had for a long time. And they kicked it off in New York at Madison Square Garden. The other day, Anthony Joshua said, "This is all about the mind games now, but as we know, I'm a man who likes to perform. The obsession has always been there for me, and I'm not just in boxing. It starts with self. Boxing is a representation of who I am. I'm determined to become the best. That's my obsession. If I'm a man," he says, "I'm a man who likes to perform and entertain, and that's always been that way. I've always wanted to take on the best. The questions are correct. Is it too soon? Have my opponents prepared me for this? God would never have put me in this position if I couldn't handle fighting Vladimir Klitschko in front of 90,000 people." In case you're wondering, they did get a whatever they call that, basically an extra 10,000. What's the word I'm looking for, Sal? Where they give you like an extension, whatever. It was. I'm lost for words here. Jesus,
let's talk about it. I don't figure it out.
Anyway,
okay.
Normally the maximum they can have at Wembley Stadium is 80,000, but they got it cleared for an extra 10,000. They set up the city to be able to handle it. And actually, the city wants big fights like this. So 90,000 people are going to be in for that fight. So Vladimir Klitschko says, "I first fought here in 2000 on the Lennox Lewis Michael Grant undercard." He says Anthony Joshua was 10. It's crazy to think about how fast and time flies. He says, when I fought Samuel Peters, promoter called me a dead man walking, but that man kept walking. I believe this man has a lot of skills. Maybe yes, maybe not. He'll be the biggest star in boxing. I know there are plans for him to fight Wilder after me. It's good to be young and ambitious, but I believe this fight has a lot of questions. Is it too early for him? Too late for me, meaning Klitschko? All these questions will be answered on April 29th. He says, do I still have it, or if it's too late? I'm looking forward to this challenge. I have my goal to become a 3-time world champion, and that's what I'm obsessed with. If you saw some of the photos, these two guys look like they're brothers, the way they're smiling and carrying on. I would assume that it's going to be all business come April once this press tour ends, Sal. I mean, I guess it's good to see two class acts in front of the microphones and up on the podium rather than hearing people, talk a bunch of smack.
Well, you know why? I'll tell you why. One word fits it. Respect.
Yep.
They respect each other.
Yeah.
And
Well, they're
that's
also
what they are.
but they're
and
also
Klitschko
class.
said it just well. Is it going to be the rising star? Does he still have it? It's being humble and being realistic that this is a big fight for both of these gentlemen, and they're conducting themselves as gentlemen, and they're a class act, as you said, which is kind of a nice, refreshing way to see it occur and go down in the sport of boxing.
Yeah, it's far and few in between to get class acts in this sport these days. But anyway, don't forget, if you're listening, I'm going to be giving you my Super Bowl picks and breakdowns here a little bit later, as well as an update on LeBron James and Charles Barkley's feud that's going on. And I'll tell you who I support in this one. And I'm a fan of both. But anyway, let's get some emails out the way, Sal. This first one's, I got a bunch of them. So
all right, let's read them one by one.
Jesse says, hey, Billy C., I agree with you that Floyd versus Conor McGregor should not count. I think this is just a showcase fight for Conor's fans since they will watch him no matter what. What is the main reason Conor wants to fight Floyd? Is it the money, since he figures he won't make that much money in the UFC? Of course. It's the money.
The money.
You know, listen, why would anybody else want to do that? He's not scared of Floyd. Nobody's scared of Floyd. Floyd doesn't scare anybody, but Floyd does make you some buku dollars. So.
Absolutely.
He says, I did have Leo Santa Cruz winning 7-5. Leo did a good job not standing there and letting Carl hit him. And by him moving, they should fight each other they should fight each other next, no tune-up, which I fully agree, and I know you do too, right, Sal?
Absolutely, 100%.
He says, Billy, I do agree with Dax that Mikey didn't earn the fight against Dejan in that weight division, but nonetheless, I believe he's the best in the division, and he should fight 2 of 3 of the best in the division, that being Flanagan, Easter, and Rancis Barthélemy. When he beats either of those guys, he should move up. What do you think of Richard Shea for saying that Mikey is the money guy in the division? He said if they want the money, then they have to talk to Mikey. Is this how we get pay-per-view fighters to superstardom, by pumping them up saying he's the money guy? Don't get me wrong, Billy. I believe Mikey will be greater, but until he beats top guys, he's not the money guy. I agree. I mean, that's just all bullshit. It's called a smokescreen. And you know what? I will say this. I appreciate what Jesse's saying. He's saying he's got to fight two of the 3 best fighters in the division: Flanagan, Easter, and Rancis Barthélemy. And I agree. But why not each fighter clean up the division before they move up? Unless they physically can't make the weight anymore, why not clean up the division? Why fight 1 or 2 guys and then say, "Oh, I mastered the division. I'm the money guy." I agree. It's all bullshit. Listen, a lot of you young fans are buying into this shit. You got to stop, man. You got to stop. Look at the whole picture. He says, I want to see David Benavidez against Khalid Plant or Truax next. Is that too soon? Khalid Plant, I don't think it's too soon for Benavidez, but Khalid Plant or Khalid Truax, both of those guys are extremely overrated. I don't know if you guys watched Khalid on Fox Fights last night. He was terrible. Terrible. I don't even know why they do it. The broadcast team on that Thursday night fights last night was terrible. It was terrible. To be on a major network, I don't know, Sal. We should have been there. Anyway, he says Miura versus Burchant, or Marora versus Corrales, or Burchant versus Socha or Lomachenko. Good fights. Appreciate the email, Jess. It was a good one. We got one from my man Coach. He says, hey, Billy C., PC culture, which he's talking about in boxing, politically correct culture, hit boxing with Mandan saying he's refusing to stand for the national anthem in Australia, and now they're attacking Tom Brady big time. Well, I'm not a Patriots fan, but they need to win by a blowout, and Monday needs to get knocked the F out. Listen, Mundane or Dine, whatever, I've lost all respect. Remember, this is the same guy that said after the 9/11 attacks on our country that we deserved it. I have never supported anything about this piece of shit since, and I agree with Coach. I hope he gets knocked the fuck right out. So, I'm sorry. Pardon my French, Sal.
Is that politically correct?
It is, because I hate this mother.
It's not.
Yeah, so anyway, thanks for the email, Coach. My man Joel's got a couple of emails here. He says, hey, Billy C., to add to your dislike for Mario Ronaldo, which is an understatement, he says he was hired by the WWE over the summer and does their SmackDown Live brand weekly show and their SmackDown Live pay-per-views. And I got to say, seeing him call Showtime Boxing on a Saturday and then the next day on a Sunday seeing him calling the WWE pay-per-views, which happened last weekend, is absolutely dreadful. He oversells and gets loud when wrestlers do big moves or something happens that isn't a jump out of your seat kind of thing. He's just as bad as he is on WWE as he is on boxing. I'm not sure what's so appealing about him to these networks. He doesn't know anything about wrestling or boxing and always makes mistakes in saying the wrestlers' names correctly. Well, I'm not going to criticize him for messing up people's names because I can't even pronounce. What the hell do you think we call Billy C? I can't even pronounce my own damn name, so I'm not going to criticize him from that. But he is dread awful, is right. Mario Ronaldo is he's a clown. He's a total clown. I can't stand him. The only thing I should actually thank him, Sal, because I mute the Showtime broadcast that he's involved with, so I actually get a non-bias, presentation of the fights on Showtime. So, Joel says after the announcement that Kirkland suffered a fractured nose in training, causing the Cotto-Kirkland to be canceled, do you really even want to see that fight rescheduled? I'm a big Cotto fan, but this fight being on pay-per-view to start was a joke. The only way I would even care to see it is if it was on regular HBO. As much as a fan I am of Cotto, if these are the kinds of opponents he's going to face, you should consider hanging them up. What are your and Sal's thoughts on this? And would either of you care to see them reschedule the bout? As far as I'm concerned, I don't ever want to see the bout. And I think that Cotto should have hung him up. He promised he was going to hang him up 2 years ago. What's your thoughts, Sal?
No, same thing. I have no desire to see this fight. It has nothing that I really care to even view. And Cotto, I think he said he was going to retire, and he had a great career. And unless he feels passionately that he's got to continue, keep yourself safe and maybe enjoy the rest of your life. But I can't tell a fighter that because I'm still wanting to get back in the ring. It's
Don't worry, boys and girls. We're not going to let Sal get back in the ring. Joel says, as it relates to Mayweather-McGregor, I think it will happen. I think he means it will never happen. He says they will talk about this for a long time like they did with Mayweather and Pacquiao, but unlike that fight, which ended up getting made a few years too late, I feel as long as Dana White is involved, this fight will never happen. He won't let Conor take boxing fights while under contract with the UFC and risk injury that would keep his superstar on the shelf from a big UFC pay-per-view fight. He says, I hope you guys enjoy the big game Sunday. Let's go Falcons. I think that somehow Dana White would be involved with this fight in some way, shape, or form. As long as Conor McGregor is in the ring, it is a representation of the UFC, so Dana White's going to have his hand in the cookie jar. Unless Conor McGregor just leaves the UFC altogether and starts a career in the sport of boxing, and if he put together 5 or 6 fights and then fought Floyd, I wouldn't have a problem with that. My problem with the fight is the fact that Conor McGregor has never fought professionally as a boxer, and to stick him in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, who's a runner and a boxer. I mean, he's a great boxer, Floyd is, but he's a runner. He's never going to let Conor McGregor get close to him, and he's going to fight a boring fight, and I just don't think he should get the credit of winning his 50th fight in a row by fighting a pro debut fighter, Sal.
No, it's absurd. I have no real comments because it shouldn't be allowed. Should not be allowed. Credible. I'm sure you can have a comment from this email. This is from your buddy Raheem. He says, "Hey Billy C, I think the fight between Mayweather and McGregor is revolutionary.
The best of the UFC fighting the best of boxing. I think it's brave for both to take on this risk. McGregor can punch, and he can punch hard, and he knocked out the guy with one punch. He knocked out one guy with one punch, and Mayweather has to be careful. This fight will be a huge pay-per-view, and the world will see it, and me too. I'm excited to see Floyd go for his 50th win to break Marciano's record. I'm not understanding why people don't like the risk Floyd is taking because he's fighting a mixed martial arts expert. I think this pay-per-view will break his fight against Pacquiao, and if Pacquiao and Mayweather had 4.5 million buys, I think this one will do 10 million. First of all, what risk is this for Floyd Mayweather? If this was a fight that featured a combination rules, in other words, basically an MMA fight, where Floyd and Conor McGregor could utilize both their skill sets, then it would be a risk. But when you have a guy who's self-proclaims he's the best ever boxer, facing a guy who's a MMA fighter, who's never boxed professionally, a pro debut versus a 49-0 fighter, that's not a risk, Sal. And the other thing that really bothers me about this fight is the fact that everybody, not everybody, young fans look at this as, breaking the record. If you guys are watching or listening right now, the chat room that we have, that we refer to and stuff, is on BillyCBoxing.com. I know there's several other avenues for you to go, but my man Coach has put in the chat room many, many times how many fighters have gone way past 50-0 and continued their career until ultimately they would lose a fight or even get a draw or something like that. And that, kind of nixes the so-called record. The record, boys and girls, is retiring undefeated. 49-0 was Rocky Marciano, and Joe Calzaghe, he had 49-0 when he retired. So, all of this hoopla is just another smokescreen bullshit thing that Floyd Mayweather has been successful cramming down the throats of the young, unknowledgeable fan. It's not that big of a deal to me, Sal. What's more of a deal to me is the fact that Floyd's not taking any risk in this fight. This is a layup for him. And for him to get credit, and he's already patented 50-0? Come on, what do you think?
Well, you know how I feel about that. If he wants a real fight against a real boxer, he should choose, if he wants the best out there, or one of the best out there today, or a top contender, something credible. And I agree. McGregor may be a world beater, maybe a great fighter. But as you said, he's making his pro debut. And to fight a fight like this with such a magnitude, maybe he knows something we don't know. I doubt it, though. I mean, you're looking at an MMA fighter going by the Marcus of Queensberry rules. It's going to be a different fight for him. And Mayweather's going to, I think, be in there like a matador with a bull.
That's exactly what he's going to do. And he's going to...
How'd you like that analogy?
He's going to pick his shots. It's going to be a boring as hell fight. Floyd's not... Listen, Floyd can't knock anybody out. No, he doesn't knock anybody out. He can't.
Might cut him.
Yeah.
But then again, we don't know how McGregor could take a punch from a boxer and with a combination. MMA fighting is different. In fact, I don't want to say anything to upset any MMA fans, but a lot of boxers that do not have the success do cross over into MMA.
Yesterday, just to get off the topic for a minute, just to elaborate on what you said. Before the fights came on last night, I flipped the channel, and I was, maybe 10, 15 minutes before the fight started, and it was an MMA show on, like a talk show that was just covering some stuff, and they were interviewing Ice-T and his co-host. They're in some movie where they're teachers, and Ice-T says, "Me and you were meeting in the playground after like two kids would fight." And, that's I don't know the name of the movie, but it looks funny. But anyway, they had Ice-T on the set, and the two hosts, there was three, one was a woman and these two guys, dressed up in those, those big, I don't know what they call them, but they look like sumo wrestler outfits where they're all all padding and stuff, and you could hardly walk. You look like Humpty Dumpty. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
So they're like, asking each one of these guys to hit these, the hosts, the co-hosts, and Ice-T. It's when it was his turn. He kicks the guy in his stomach, knocks him down, and then he does like a elbow to the chest, WWE move. It was the funniest thing. I mean, I was just like, oh man, I found that more entertaining than anything else. But anyway, just when you mentioned MMA crossover, I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to cross over because of that show. I don't even know the name of it, but anyway, we got another email. This one's from Quadruple G, who's always in the chat.
Right.
He says, I heard you're not a fan of Mauro Ronaldo's commentary, so I thought I'd send you this funny video in case you hadn't seen it. He says, this was around 2005 in Pride Fighting Championships, an MMA organization in Japan. Now, Mauro Ronaldo was always saying how many times he went to Japan, and this was the reason I finally found out that he was covering these Pride Fighting Championships. He says Ronaldo was basically brand new on the job, and at the time, this was maybe his second or third time working for these guys. The guy he's interviewing was one of the scariest people around at the time, Mirko Crow Cop Filipovic. He was a beast of a kickboxer who crossed over to MMA successfully. To make him even more intimidating, he was an officer in some kind of anti-terror unit. Well, anyway, he sent me a link to this, and let me tell you, it was funny as hell. It shows you how Mauro Ronaldo is such a wimp, and he kept saying, because basically what the video told him was Crow Cop was saying that he didn't like him because he was talking bad about him during his last fight. And the truth of the matter was it wasn't Ronaldo, it was the other guy that was doing the broadcast with him. And Ronaldo runs out of the dressing room and he's saying to the producers, why didn't any of you guys stick up for me? Why didn't you stick up for me? And they kept having him go, oh, no, come back in. He wants to talk to you. And then he kept, threatening him again and stuff. It was kind of funny. But the bottom line is it shows you how much of a wimp Ronaldo is, and like to go by what Joel was saying before. This guy really doesn't know the sport. I don't know why he's involved with it. Maybe he's got the voice. I don't know, but he's a total a-hole. Can't stand him. Thanks for the video. Thanks for the video link and the email, Quadruple G. We got another one here, Sal, from Luke. And Luke says, the subject is light middleweights. He says, hey, Billy C., this is Luke, the Englishman in Korea. He says, in December and January, you asked for suggestions and improvements for your show. This is just my 2 cents. And by the way, we got a bunch of them, and there are some things. So if you haven't seen the changes yet that you requested, don't think we've, just tossed them out. Because I have a whole stack, as a matter of fact, in the studio, which you can't see in this camera shot, is my office, which is back there. And we have a whole stack of stuff ready to review and try to implement. So all these ideas are valued to us. So he says, I'm pretty ignorant about American politics, but I think that the constant political chat is really sending the show downhill. This is a boxing show. If my comment is inappropriate, then forgive me. It's just my personal opinion because I love the boxing chat. Anyway, my suggestion is this. Since Canelo has seemingly abandoned the 154-pound division, I think most people would agree that the top 3 fighters in the division are Lara, Andrade, and Jermall Charlo. What do you think the chance of any of these guys fighting each other anytime soon? And if they did, who do you think would come out as number 1, 2, and 3? And how many of these guys would kick Canelo's ass? Well, I think Ursuline Lara already did. Andrade is the guy. Charlo looks too big. I think that he's going to move up. Interesting question. As far as the political chat, it's something that we are covering more than just political news. When we don't really get into it, but sometimes it's in the news around here in the United States, and we like to give our 2 cents. So if you think the show is going downhill because of it, the best thing I could tell you is don't watch the show. I mean, nobody's being forced to watch the show. You know, you can't please everybody. You know, we go by the numbers, and one thing I learned a long time ago is we try to put on the best quality show that we can, and hopefully the masses will enjoy it. And if there are people that don't, well, you can't please everybody. C'est la vie, and maybe next time. I mean, what do you say to that, Sal?
Well, you know, I think if we do discuss politics, you got to give a counterpoint to it. And, you know, if we tend to look like we're leaning to the right versus the left, I think we have to have a balanced and fair approach to it. I'm not going to copy a news network that goes about that. But, you know, if we're going to discuss something that's in the political arena that we feel we could bring up as a topic to discuss, I believe we should give both sides and look at it from both perspectives. And yes, I don't have any problem with giving my personal review or thoughts on the topic. But, you know, you can see it from both angles and then give a personal view. And if it is something that we want to continue to do, then, like I said, you're the captain of the ship, pal. So I'm going to listen to the captain, and we're going to keep the ship going and the helm and float.
So it's my fault. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's my fault. I'm the one that started getting in politics to this, you know, because I'm passionate about politics. I care about what's happening in the world today, and I care about what's happening right here domestically. And so I'm going to throw my 2 cents in because, as Paulie would say in Rocky 1, I'm the unsilent majority, that's who.
Well, you know what they always say. There's 2 things you should never talk about. Politics
and religion.
And we found ourselves talking about both of them at one point. But anyway, let's get back to some emails.
Listen, well, you know what? And like I said, Bill, I wouldn't blame you. I mean, you know me. I love to get on a soapbox when it comes to politics. But I think if we ever do discuss politics, it's good to look at both angles, and then we could give our personal opinions on what we think.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, we talked a lot about it during the presidential campaign.
Yes.
Because that was in the news. We haven't really talked about it since. And
No.
that's because... you know,
Well, now you get me on a soapbox. You know what I saw this morning on one of my favorite news stations, Fox News, and I was appalled. Bruce Springsteen is doing a concert. Well, it might even be Australia. I'm not even sure where. And he put down the United States. Well, he said, I'm sorry, we're embarrassed, or whatever the heck. So I was very upset by hearing the boss of New Jersey doing that.
Well, I never liked him anyway. But anyway... we got my man Johnston.
All right,
has a couple of emails here. He says, "Hey Billy C and Sal, check out this link." He sent a link about basically an article where about Amir Khan. Why it explains the fight wasn't made because Amir Khan felt that he wanted a tune-up fight first to shake off the ring rust before he would fight Kell Brook. To shake off the ring rust? I mean, his last fight was in May when he was knocked out by Canelo. And you know, normally, if you look at Amir Khan's record when he was active, he only fought twice a year anyway. May? I mean, how much rust could he have? He's another one. He's another one. He says, Johnson says, I'm sick of these tune-up fight BS. He says, I don't think Santa Cruz or Frampton will have tune-up fights. But this clown Khan thinks he needs one. Just goes to show you why people find Amir Khan such a joke right now. Johnson says he had respect for him when he took on Canelo, but now he's become a joke, and it's hard to disagree with Johnston. He also sent me an email about too many titles and champions. He says, after listening to your show recently when you mentioned the sorry state of affairs of the WBC and WBA find themselves in with the amount of champions that there are across 17 weight divisions, I can't quite remember which organization you mentioned, but I took it upon myself to look up into this fiasco across the 4 major sanctioning bodies. It was the WBA I was talking about. He says WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. I gathered this information as of February 2nd. The WBA has 42 titles, with 32 of them being world champions, which includes super, regular, and interim. He says the WBC has 36 titles with 31 champions, which includes silver, interim, and even the silver interim, which I didn't even know. They have an interim silver belt? I mean, come on. The silver was supposed to be interim. That was WBC's fancy word for interim. I mean, it's a joke. The WBC, really, everybody says how they want the green belt. I think, they're the most corrupt of all, really. I mean, the WBA is terrible. But the WBC seems...
See? We're discussing politics now.
I know. The IBF, which and the WBO, which, people don't give as much attention to. The IBF has 18 titles with 18 champions and only one interim title. And the WBO has 18 titles with 19 champions and one interim title. So he says, with all of that, we got a total of 114 titles spread across 4 boxing organizations with over 100 champions. And if we just take the WBC and WBA head count, there would be 78 titles with 63 champions when there should be a maximum of 34. It's complete shambles. And I agree, because we were saying this should only be 8. This should only be 8. I mean, it's a joke. And we wonder why, people don't follow. And he broke down all the divisions for me here. And then also... he gave me a link as of yesterday, all the current champions for all of the sanctioning bodies, including the ring, which is the lineal title, all the way from minimum weight right on up to heavyweight. So thanks for the email, Johnston. I appreciate your time and effort. And the bottom line is I agree with him 100%, Sal. What about you?
Yeah, I think it was definitely significant. Great email. I appreciate it.
All right, let's talk about the Super Bowl. But first, I don't know if any of you guys have caught this. LeBron James. Now, I happen to like LeBron. I mean, in my opinion, the best basketball player ever to put on a pair of sneakers was Michael Jordan. I mean, when I saw Michael Jordan do, and don't get me wrong, there were a lot of great hoops players from the past. Wilt Chamberlain, of course, Bill Russell. I mean, you could go down to, you want to throw in Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. I mean, great players. But for me, the best basketball player, in my opinion, was Michael Jordan. I mean, I saw this guy defy gravity. I mean, to me, there'll never be another Michael Jordan. However, with that said, LeBron James, and today you got Steph Curry too. I mean, these are some phenomenal athletes playing this game of basketball. And the thing I've liked about LeBron James is he went right from high school into the pros. But the main thing I like about LeBron James, and there's a lot of negativity thrown around about him, but one of the main things I like about him is that despite making the boatloads of cash that LeBron has made, even before he was supposed to make the money, this guy has kept his nose clean. He seems to be a model player in the NBA in terms of outside and off the court, and I think he's a good representation of the National Boxing Association. So here's the thing. Charles Barkley has been talking shit about LeBron for a long time, but it finally came to a head the other day when Barkley was referring to LeBron James. He was complaining about his team, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers, not putting enough pieces around him, meaning that they're not spending extra money to get other quality players around LeBron so that they can be the top team, even though they did happen to win the championship, but continue to be the top team. And Charles Barkley went on air and during a basketball game and called LeBron whiny and that he was acting in an inappropriate manner. Well, LeBron James came back with this, Sal. He said, referring to Charles Barkley, he says he's a hater. What makes him say that? What makes what he says credible? Just because he's on TV? He says, I'm not going to let him disrespect me and my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debts in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. I never showed up to an all-star weekend on Sunday because I was in Vegas all weekend partying and gambling. He says, go watch. And then he had also made a comment that during a All-Star game that LeBron was acting too friendly with other players. He says, go watch the 93 finals when John Paxson's hitting a free throw. He says, Michael Jordan and Barkley are laughing and joking around during the game. He says, while somebody's shooting a free throw. He says, it's in the finals, but nobody was friends back then. He says, all I've done my entire career is represent the NBA in the right way. 14 years, I never got in trouble. I've always respected the game. I'm here to win ball games and take care of my teammates. Print that. I couldn't agree with LeBron James more. Sal, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great statement. No, I concur with that too. Very good.
I mean, he's right. I mean, Charles Barkley wasn't a nice guy. Yeah, he's fun-loving now, but he wasn't spitting on kids, not doing autographs, saying I ain't a role model. I mean, this was everything that LeBron said was true. And he also threw in that LeBron's just mad because he can't retire, basically because he pissed his money away, and he's got to get up on that stage every day and do his show. So, you know what? I'll say this about LeBron James. Whether you like him or not, he is a class act, and the guy has kept his nose clean throughout his whole NBA career. So I agree with LeBron James, but no disrespect to LeBron. In my opinion, the best basketball player ever to lace up a pair of sneakers, Michael Jordan. I mean, he was the best in my opinion. All right, it's a Super Bowl. Super Bowl weekend, Sal.
Here we go.
That's right. And Dax is saying, yeah, but Charles Barkley made a movie with Bugs Bunny. Didn't what's his name? Shaquille O'Neal. He made some kind of Shazam movie, some kind of bullshit movie. But anyway, the Super Bowl. The NFL, this is primarily a boxing talk show and all of that, and politics. Oh, no, just kidding.
Well, the first time we brought up politics, and you mentioned it earlier, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I just had to get this off my chest. We never discussed politics until you mentioned last year we were talking about Amir Khan, and I thought you were talking about Hillary Clinton.
Right, because she is Amir Khan. But anyway,
okay,
listen.
Bada boom.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The NFL, speaking of politics, despite what Donald Trump said, Donald Trump called the commissioner of the NFL an idiot. He doesn't know how to run. Okay, it's like, hey, Donald, shut the fuck up, But anyway, here's the thing. Well, that's the problem with Donald. He's a spoiled, rotten, rich kid that nobody's ever said no to. And, I think what rubs people the wrong way about Trump is that, he's got no respect for human beings, and when you're in that place as a representative of the United States of America, arguably the best country in the world, you got to show respect to human beings. I think that's the biggest problem that Donald Trump has. My problem is that, with the protests and everything else, which everybody has a right to protest, but give the guy a chance to screw up. He hasn't yet. He hasn't reneged on the LGBT or whatever rules. He hasn't started construction on a wall, even though he is going to build a wall, which isn't a bad thing, considering he just wants people to go through the right protocols to get in the country. So I'll leave it at that. I say protest as much as you want once he does something. He is working on some things. He has done some good things in a relatively short period of time, but I will admit that he says the wrong thing most of the time, and he's not a likable guy. I voted for him, but I feel the same way as many do. He's not a classy guy. He says stupid things. He's immature at times. And thank God for Spicer, because Spicer, there's a guy, the press secretary. That poor guy has to stand up every single day, Sal, and do a speech to try to put fires out. I mean, this guy, talk about, if people think that Obama aged in 8 years, wait till you look at Spicer after 4. This guy's going to look like, the oldest guy in the world. Anyway, Super Bowl. Let's get back to the Super Bowl. NFL runs the sporting world, in my opinion. And, what teams play for is a shot at the Super Bowl. And ultimately, unfortunately, whether it's right or wrong, if you're a player that gets to the Super Bowl and you're in a glory position like quarterback, you pretty much get to a Super Bowl and you pretty much solidify a spot in the Hall of Fame. I mean, whether it's fair or not, it's true. A guy like Eli Manning, he wins 2 Super Bowls for the New York Giants. You could bet your last dollar he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer? I personally don't. But how do you deny a guy, since it's so hard to get in the Super Bowl? He's been there twice and won both of them. So a guy like him gets in it. What does that have to do with this year's Super Bowl? Well, Tom Brady is going for his 5th Super Bowl win.
This is his 7th, correct?
7th Super Bowl, but he's going for his 5th Super Bowl win. Whether you like Tom Brady or not, and I'm a Jets fan, and I can't stand the Patriots, but I respect the players. I don't hate the players like I dislike the Steelers. I'm not a big Ben Roethlisberger fan or anybody else on that team. But as far as the Patriots, I respect those players. Tom Brady, when he's playing the Jets, I hate him, but the guy is a quality player. He's smart. He obviously throws a pass like no other. And Bill Belichick is a genius. He's a football genius. Even Mr. Kraft, the owner of the team, did all the right things. The fans, they're like the Yankee fans and the Boston Red Sox fans. But still, the Patriots are a quality team. Been there, done that. The Falcons, they're the team that kind of slid in the back door. For the most part, this whole season, they were flying under the radar.
They were like a sleeper team, man. They just kept winning and winning and winning and improving and doing great stuff. They rose to the occasion every time.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about the Falcons was that unless you were in the state of Georgia, a lot of us didn't really see anything about the Falcons. They weren't on the national TV schedule a lot. And if you had an NFL ticket and you happened to be a Falcons fan, you got to watch it. But for the most part, they were winning games and quietly winning games. When they got into the playoffs, I thought that Matt Ryan, the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, is no spring chicken. He's been with that team a long time. He's actually superseded Michael Vick. And a lot of people in Atlanta were always comparing him to Vick, who got him to playoffs and everything else. He's come up short, Ryan. Well, this year they had a great year. And they get into the playoffs, and I was wrong. I did not think that they would go far in the playoffs, and my main reason was because they weren't there. I thought that they were just acting like, they were happy to be there. But they proved me wrong. As a matter of fact, they seem to have gotten better as the season closed. I also thought that the break when they had the bye was going to hurt them because, they never went through a bye week before with this team. And I was wrong. They come back and they beat what I thought was the best team in the NFC and the Dallas Cowboys. They follow up that win against arguably the best quarterback in the league, against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. And they beat them. And you can't even say that it wasn't Aaron Rodgers. He was having a decent game. It was the fact that the Packers defense just could not stop Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and the rest of the Falcon offense. So at the end of the day, I think it's safe to say that, and what makes it really hard in football is that there's only, it's a one-game playoff. So you make it to the playoffs, and you win, you're in, you lose, you're out. It's not like baseball where you get to have a bad game and then come back and win. It's not like basketball or hockey where you can do the same. Football is one and done. You come in, if you have a bad day, guess what? You're playing golf with the Jets and Giants right now. So I mean, that's what happens. And both of these teams had not had a lapse. Both of these teams have been playing at a high level. And I think that at the end of the day, this year, which I don't know how many times we can say this, but I personally believe, after I have evaluated and analyzed this whole season, that these are the best two teams. You know, I know that everybody's talking about the best offense in Atlanta going up against the best defense of the Patriots, but people got to remember that when the Patriots played the Texans had the number one defense. So, you know, that stat is a little skewed, but the one stat that has not been skewed is the Atlanta Falcons. They have been the number one offense from the beginning of the year all the way until now. So what we end up with is, in my opinion, the two best teams playing each other. All right. The line on this game is the Patriots, depending upon where you're looking at the line, they're the favorite, and the point spreads that I've seen is from 3 to 4 points. So depending upon where you're getting your line, you could be laying 3 or 4 points for the Patriots. The total has been ranging from 58 to 60. A lot of experts think that this is going to be a huge game for points. Some people are predicting that they might be 40 points or more scored on each side, making this total, they're going to blow this total away. Here's how I see this game going. Now, the first point I want to make is I'm a Jets fan. I watch the Patriots smack the shit out of us every time they play us. You know, so it's really hard for me to even say or root for them. And I probably won't, because with my heart, I'm rooting for the Falcons on Sunday, all right? I'm hoping that the Falcons open up a can of whoop ass on the Patriots. But again, not because I don't respect Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and the rest of the Patriots. But as far as being a betting man, I think this game is going to be a good game. I think we're not going to see a blowout. I think that if there is one weakness for the Patriots, it is a fast and physical offense. Fast-paced, fast foot speed, and physical. They have that, Atlanta Falcons. They have Julio Jones, a former Alabama star, a guy that I love, a guy that virtually can't be stopped. I mean, this guy is a guy that I feel is the replacement for Larry Fitzgerald, a guy that played for the Cardinals his whole career, a guy that never seems to drop the ball, and that's Julio Jones. And, you know, he's a tough out. Their running game of the Falcons has picked up. I think the defense of the Patriots might be a bit overrated. I think that if you look at the teams that they've played, to give them that number one ranked defense as of today is a lot of weak teams. The games that they played where the defense really dominated were against teams that were not that good. You know, listen, it's hard to bet against the Patriots. The Patriots have been there and done that. The Patriots have been to Super Bowl week, which I think, believe it or not, is the most critical asset that the Patriots have. I think that the fact that the Falcons are here and all the press and all the attention, that might work on the Falcons. It's not going to affect the Patriots. They've been there a lot. What does all this mean, Sal? Hell if I know. I don't know. I'm rooting for the Falcons. I would stay away from betting this game, maybe bet the coin toss, but I do think this is going to happen. When everybody in the world, all the so-called experts, say one thing, most of the time the opposite happens. And everybody is saying that this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Yes, they are.
I have a feeling that this game will not go over the point schedule, the point total. I just have this funny feeling that it's not going to go. I think that this might be a tighter game, and I think the defense on both sides of the ball are going to determine the outcome of this game. I know that it's easy for anybody to say that, because if you can stop an offense, that wins games. But everybody is looking offensive-minded. Oh, Brady throwing the ball down the field. Belichick with his, how he likes to take one guy out of the game. Well, if he focuses on Julio Jones, they got several other great receivers. They have a rejuvenated running game. And Matt Ryan scored his first rushing touchdown in his last game. I don't know. I just have a feeling that this game is going to be a little tighter than people think, and I'm going with the Falcons. What do you do?
Well, I'll tell you. Of course, I want to see my home team win, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. I know sports to a degree, and I know that the fact remains that The New England Patriots have been there, done that. I don't know with the young team of the Falcons what they're going to be, whether they're awestruck or whether they are the professionals that are just ready to get this thing into this whole environment of the Super Bowl, that they could bring and bring a football team to another level where they have to really be with themselves in a way that they've got to have their wherewithal, is what I'm trying to say. And so the experience, we know, is on the Falcons. I heard a very famous quarterback give his prediction, and he this morning on Fox News, and he said that he thinks that the Atlanta Falcons are going to win. It's going to be a high-scoring game, he also said. Do you want to know who that was?
Sure. Enlighten me.
I was watching Dan Marino earlier, and although he had great accolades and words about Brady and New England, he thought that I think the Falcons are going to do it.
Well, he's the same as me. He's a diehard Dolphins fan. He bleeds turquoise and orange, and the Patriots smack the shit out of the Dolphins all the time. So he's like me. He's going with his heart.
I think, Bill. I think as much as I would like to see, if I was betting with my heart, I want to see the Atlanta Falcons win. If I'm betting with my head, I think New England Patriots are going to do it.
Who's your official prediction is what I'm trying to get out of you, Sal.
Oh, jeez. I think New England Patriots.
You're picking the Patriots. I'm picking the Falcons. We'll see. We'll see how it all unfolds.
We'll see Monday morning.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all unfolds. I'm looking forward to the game. There is an interesting show on all the awards are on Saturday night on Fox, 8 o'clock. I'm going to tune into that to see what kind of who won what as far as the NFL. But Super Bowl, I think, starts at 6 p.m., but the coverage starts at noon. So, and here in the United States, for all of our overseas listeners, the Super Bowl is like a holiday. A lot of people take Monday off, and we eat more food on Super Bowl Sunday, I believe, than every holiday but Thanksgiving. So, interesting stat there. So Sal's picking the Patriots. I'm picking.
My heart.
And Sal should be picking the Patriots because his Giants are the only team that the Patriots can't seem to beat. So I'm going with the Falcons. And all my fans in Georgia. And right now they're burning down Sal's restaurant because he picked up.
No, you listen to what I said. My heart wants to see the Atlanta Falcons win the Super Bowl. If I was betting with my heart, I want to see them win, and I think they can. But my head is saying, if I'm a betting man, which I am, by the way, is with New England Patriots.
Yeah, well, listen, that's a smart move. I'm personally betting the under. I'm taking the under, and I don't know if the points go up a little higher. If I can get 5, I think I'll go with Atlanta. I like 4 too. So anyway, on this day in boxing history, February 3rd, in 1939, Melino Bettina knocks out Tiger Jack Fox in the 9th round to win the vacant world light heavyweight titles with place in New York City. On this day in 2007, Chad Dawson, remember him? He wins a 12-round decision over Tomaz Adamak to win the WBC world light heavyweight titles with place in Florida. On this day in 2001, Costa Tszyu knocks out Sharmba Mitchell in the 7th round to win the WBA and retain his WBC world junior welterweight titles and took place in Vegas. I remember watching that fight. I thought Mitchell had a chance, but that's when I actually became a much bigger fan of Costa Tszyu after that fight. On this day in 2007, Julio Diaz knocks out Jesus Chavez in the 3rd round to win the IBF World Lightweight title. Took place in Florida. On this day in 1980, Wilfredo Gomez knocks out Ruben Valdez in the 6th round to retain his WBC Super Bantamweight title. That took place in Vegas. And on this day, February 3rd, in 1980, Larry Holmes knocks out Lorenzo Zanin in the 6th round to retain his WBC World Heavyweight title, and that took place at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas on this day in 1980. Any final thoughts, Sal Rocky Senecola?
Absolutely. You know what I'm going to say? No, I think we have a couple good things to look forward to this weekend, and I know we're going to be busy. Probably with a lot to go orders on Super Bowl. It's so funny. I used to do a Super Bowl party before I even had a TV when I was open on Sundays, and I would get a big box, and I would draw a picture of a TV, and I'd write out of order. And we'd have a Super Bowl party at the pizzeria, and we usually had people not interested in the Super Bowl come to see us. And it was a bad joke. I'm sorry.
It is a bad joke. Are you? Listen, are you
now
trying
we
to?
have a TV.
I think
So
you're
we're gonna have
trying.
a Super Bowl party.
The way I'm taking it is you're trying to paint the picture that maybe the occupants of the state of Georgia aren't the sharpest tools in the shed.
No. I was not going there at all.
Oh, okay. All right.
That out of your.
Well, I mean, if you draw a picture of a TV and say out of order and they accept it, what's that telling you?
Well, it was me with my sense of humor. It
Yeah.
was,
Hey, you know what? You better change it, pal. You better change it, pal. That's it. That sense of humor is pretty bad. Now, you better call
what a
the.
lot of people said.
You
I
better-
listened to their feedback.
You better call the fire department.
Yeah, easy.
Tell them to go. Tell them you have a feeling that there's something burning on Frederica.
Hey,
But,
you know what? You want to call it after the sport of boxing. All other sports to me are just secondary, and even the Atlanta Braves could win the Super Bowl for all I know. I'm teasing. That's a joke.
Yeah,
Another joke. Bad joke. This is bad joke Friday by Sal.
The Atlanta Braves. I think they scored the most touchdowns in league history, didn't they? Listen.
All right.
Hey, everybody, enjoy whatever fights you might watch this weekend. Very far and few in between.
Now I'm gonna probably have to defend myself when I go to work.
That's it. You can just fight your way out of the office. But the big sporting event this weekend, of course, here in the States is the Super Bowl. Be safe, be smart, eat lots of wings and whatever else you're going to have on your spread. But most of all, enjoy the game. We will be talking about it right here on Monday, as well as any other boxing news. And we'll be looking forward to chatting with you guys come Monday morning. Don't forget, if you take the time to drop me an email, we'll take the time to read it. Billy at Talkin' Boxing, TalkinBoxing.com. I'll leave you with this. Make sure you tune in Monday morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.